On December the 10th of 2006, Dr. Bradley Timpf, a local chiropractor and former Miami Hurricane basketball star, met a young lady on a blind date at a North Miami Beach restaurant. Despite all of his achievements and promise for a bright future, it would be Dr. Timpf's last night alive. Here's the story.
Brad was a wonderful son. I was blessed with two wonderful children, and it was a pleasure to parent two wonderful children, especially Brad.
Brad was your typical older brother. You know, we would roughhouse together and play, and if we were ever in trouble, somehow it was always usually my fault, but he would always get in trouble for it and like take the rap for me. You know, he would always just want to make sure I was okay.
We knew from birth that he was going to be very tall. My wife is 6 feet tall and I'm 6'2", and so as he progressed along in his growth, I think in middle school he was 6 feet tall. And as he got into high school, he sort of skipped pant size and shoe size and went on to size 16, 17 shoe and grew to be 6'10".
Brad was just always full of life. You know, he'd walk into a room and just people would always gravitate towards him because he was just so amazing and just always very personable. You know, great speaker, fun to talk to, and he was just always willing to help whoever.
Ever since I was little or younger, I always wanted to be a doctor, and that was my major goal in life.
Brad had always set his goals of being young, as being a doctor, to help other people and be in the wellness. He played 3 sports when he was younger, and basketball ended up being his favorite sport. And through high school, as he developed his basketball skills and his desire to be in the medical field, the colleges started looking at him. There were 75 colleges after him to sign, so it was a very exciting time. And at the same time, he was a National Honor Society student. He was proficient in Spanish, which he became very fluid in speaking Spanish. It's amazing that he could balance everything he did. When it came time to go to college, he went to school with a good sports program, also a good medical program because he was a pre-med student, and he wanted to be close to home. And so he chose the University of Miami.
And you're playing up at the University of Miami like you should. Good luck in all your sports endeavors and have fun. Talk to you soon.
Exciting for basketball. He traveled all across the country and progressed in his academics. He graduated in 4 years and he got his master's in a year. He wanted to be a chiropractor because he liked the hands-on application, and plus it freed up time for him so he could volunteer in the community that he lived in. He donated his time to help the sports program. He also gave free physicals at the local high schools. He was always at a health clinic at the malls or Walmart. He always volunteered his time for the marathons. He was like the onboard chiropractor for the marathons, just to return back to the community.
Brad and I lived together for about 3 years before he passed away. And, you know, he was getting his doctorate and I just got my master's degree, and, you know, just figured it would be the best deal instead of us going out and buying separate places and being single, that it was, you know, a smart move. And it was just a lot of fun, you know. We'd come home or call each other and say, oh, do you want to cook tonight? Or are you going to cook tonight? Or what do you want me to pick up at the store, you know? Or, you know, having people over and watching football games or basketball games, because we're really, you know, a sports-oriented family, and Brad was really into that. And it was, you know, it was really wonderful to, you know, have that experience. And now I'm glad that I did, because, you know, he was taken away from us. It's so hard to be without him after all these years.
I'm not sure what's going on outside, but my manager just told me to call you guys. We need someone over there.
Okay, you don't know what happened?
Could you find out what's going on outside? I need to let them know. Someone got shot? What?
Okay, now we have police and rescue on the way.
Thank you.
On December 10th, 2006, Bradley Timpf, who was a local chiropractor, was at the Houston's restaurant located at about 174th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. He met a friend there and had dinner.
And I came home later on that day, and he was home, and he was getting ready to leave to go to Houston's and ironing his shirt, and then, you know, just left and said goodbye, and that was it.
Once Brad and his date were finished eating, they began to leave the restaurant. You'll see in the surveillance video that was obtained at the Houston's restaurant that Brad is walking inside the restaurant and he's talking on his cell phone, and he's clearly walking out towards the parking lot. Then you see Brad walking in the parking lot away from the restaurant. He walked his friend to her car, Her car was parked in the parking lot, but not right next to where he was parked. So he walked her to her car, said goodnight, and then began to walk to his car. Where this incident happened was at the back of the parking lot. There was a lot of people there that night, but his parking space was almost at Biscayne Boulevard, which was a fairly long walk from where the restaurant actually was. So there is certainly a possibility that somebody wanted to steal Brad's car, and that there was a confrontation with Brad, possibly before he got in his car, or maybe even while he was getting in his car or sitting in his car preparing to leave. And after that confrontation, Brad began to back out of his parking space. There were shots fired while he was backing out of his parking space. It appears that the person who shot Brad was behind him, that whoever shot Brad was shooting as Brad was leaving or driving away from him. Brad then drove his car towards the Houston's restaurant. When he got to the front of the restaurant, he struck a parked car that was parked in a handicapped spot right in front of the restaurant. People at the restaurant just thought that it was an accident, and they ran over to the car to see if the person driving the car, in this case it was Brad Timpf, was okay. When they opened the door, they found him unconscious, and as they went to render aid, they realized that he wasn't breathing, that he had been shot.
Detective Stein had said, there had been an incident down in Houston and your brother had passed away. I've gotten married and I've had a baby and had all these wonderful things happen in my life, but it's just, there's always that little piece of something that's missing that this person took away from us.
North Miami Beach police are asking you to take a good look at this car. It's a 2005 silver four-door Cadillac, very similar to the one Bradley Timpf was in the night he was murdered, and police now believe it may be his car what led to the murder.
The investigation revealed that as Brad was driving away from his parking space, a number of shots were fired. One of those shots went through the rear side window and struck Brad in the back. And that is the shot that ultimately killed him. Brad's car appears to back out in a normal fashion. You see his lights come on, and you can see his car then begin to drive towards the restaurant. It doesn't appear to be going super fast, it just appears to be driving normally, until the end where he got into this accident.
Tuesday night, the corridor in front of Timpf's Coconut Creek chiropractic office overflowed with mourners. Close to 200 people lit candles, left cards, and left a piece of themselves.
If you take a look all around, you see people that love him. This is what he has created just from touching you and healing you.
Why? We might never know. What's most important is why Dr. Brad was here and what his mission was and how he affected all of us.
One look at Brad Timpf's old bedroom and you can see he was a South Florida boy to the core. He loved UM, he loved the Dolphins, and he was as active as you could be. His family says he was also as giving as you could be, and as they celebrate what would have been his 33rd birthday, they say that is the true tragedy here, the loss of such a giving person.
For my dad, life just kind of stands still, and to watch him in that internal turmoil at all times, from the loss of his son is heartbreaking.
And it was a big, devastating blow to all of us to lose him. The healing process never happens. The suffering is still there.
And it just would be so nice if somebody would come forward and find it in their heart to help us and to help get a criminal out of the community, because guess what? They're gonna do it again, and it might be your family member that they do it to. Truthfully, I don't feel that they should be free on the streets and be able to live a life when my brother's 6 feet in the ground. It's just not fair.
Timpf attended Taravella High School here, and he always made sure the school was a big part of his life. Now his family and friends say the proceeds from the sale of these bracelets will fund a college scholarship for a student here.
The bracelet reads in loving memory of Dr. Brad Timpf with his number on it, number 50, and every bracelet that's sold goes towards his scholarship fund. And his scholarship fund is for JP Taravella High School, and each year a student goes to college in memory of Brad for the Dr. Brad Timpf Memorial Fund. And that's just kind of like our way of, having Brad's legacy live on. And because Brad was such a role model within our community and where we grew up in Coral Springs, JP Taravella, our high school, decided that they wanted to honor him and retire his Taravella jersey as well as his University of Miami jersey. They had a big event where they talked about him and discussed who he was and what he stood for as a person. And it just means a lot to our family that all these, tributes and memorials have been made in honor of him, because it just shows what a wonderful person he was.
Bradley Timpf stood tall in stature on the basketball court for the University of Miami. He stood tall in life, caring for anyone who walked through his door. His family can't imagine why anyone would want him dead, but now they are left feeling dead inside.